pay, but what you paid, and I did not
amortization, to cost of living, expenses.
Exactly, all these
It takes
things.
a long time to make up a lot of money, especially in a seasonal business.
But see, we own it forever, and the deed restriction is forever.
And then on
Glenn.
top of all that, with there's so few players.
Right.
It's, you know how Mel Bussler does pretty much every event. It's almost this, all of a sudden it's like we got Jake now. Jake buys the other place for $1.9 million, but it's only nine holes. However, the clubhouse is worth a heck of a lot more than the clubhouse up. So there's a give and take there. Not to mention that Jake is making it into an executive golf course where he doesn't want tournaments. He wants people to golf there. He wants gross dollars each and every day, from the beginner to the middle to the novice to the expert. That's why he's putting in multiple tee boxes in there.
Jake is doing a great job.
There's a guy who knows nothing about golf, and yet now look what he's going to make. He's going to make a lemonade out of lemons out of a 9-hole golf course.
By the way,
can't
I saw
have tournaments.
that advertisement or basically news informational thing. You did a nice job on it.
Thank you.
What I see with Jake was basically what I see happening, what I also saw happening at last night's meeting when the mayor went after Jake, is that, see, people may not know, but I know because I've sat next to him and I understand, I get the brunt of a lot of his, his anger, is that he is vindictive, and he saw Jake buy PJ's golf course for $1.9 million, and by doing that, basically Jake walked all over the narrative that Smith had gone out with for an entire year, 11 weeks here on this radio station, saying that $3.4 million for a golf course? Well, okay, there was more than what we were buying. We were buying more than the golf course.
65
but
acres.
Because Jake bought that property over there,
and no one can
people are making a comparison going, let's see, Jake got 9 holes in a golf club but no equipment. It was okay. And then we don't know if he got an appraisal. Okay, and then you look at the golf course and the land, and I'll tell you this, just to give people an idea.
The clubhouse alone is a big difference.
All right, so people understand. $3.4 million. Jeff comes out from executive session and releases that number when it was supposed to remain confidential in the back room.
Right.
He went out and he said, well, it's north of what the Thompson Park pool costs, which we all knew was about 3.1.
I find it fair enough.
Just let me say this, Glenn, if you would.
Yeah.
All right, number 1, we got the land.
Right.
2, we got the club. 3, we got the assets and equipment. 4, we got the clients that have been over the years going to that golf course. 4, we got Lundy's sister coming in to help us. 5, we got the risk value.
Right.
And we got 7, we got the deed restriction. And 8, we got the improvement. So there were 8 elements to this deal. And Jeff comes out and says we were paying $3.4 million for a golf club. That wasn't true. There was a lot more to the deal. But he diminished what we were getting in order to make the public believe that we were paying too much.
Okay.
And if the public understood all that we were getting, they wouldn't have thought it was such a bad deal. And now Jay comes out, and so his buying that club from PJ walked on the narrative, and Smith was mad. And so he didn't want to vote to take out those parking, the planters down there.
Right.
And now he goes after him on the property over on Main. What is it, Main Street?
Yeah, West Main. Yeah, right at the bridge.
Like he did last night.
Right.
So that's what Smith does.
Okay.
I mean,
again, I kind of see where you're going with that. But you did talk about the golf course and the difference, and somehow that combined all that together. The ethics board, including a former council person, Steve Jennings, they've come to the conclusion that after the inquiry that essentially this is going to go to the next phase. This is kind of like a grand jury that's setting forth a process here to have you taken off city council. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think it was premature in their conclusion because personally I would have thought that somebody would have brought what they think was wrong. Smith would have made some kind of accusation about something he thinks that I did, and then they would look at it and say, okay, I think we need to get more evidence. But from what I heard happened, it was an inquisition. It wasn't any kind of hearing because I had asked the city because of my disagreements, or very known disagreements with Todd Ballard, for Mr. Ballard to recuse himself from being there and representing the city. And it was refused. I sent it to everybody. I sent it to the media. I think I tagged you in it to say, look, this is not right. And they went ahead and did it anyway. So Ballard goes over there, already having a problem with me in the first place, and he was biased before, and I'll tell you that in a second.
Right.
And makes the presentation to this ethics committee. Okay? I don't understand what was said. And then they made some accusation that I might have taken some outside gift because I talked to 2 outside attorneys. Well, the 2 outside attorneys, if you look at that one aspect of what they came back with for a reason for bringing this against me, one outside attorney I talked to was a good friend of mine I know very well, trust her completely, had talked to her attorney, and her attorney had watched the meeting And he said to her it was biased, the way this attorney was representing the city. All right, and then another one was the Open Government Committee in Albany that we can call and ask questions about exactly the kind of thing I was interested in knowing.
And they said that was
wrong. So the two attorneys, I talked to two attorneys. Smith jumps to the conclusion that it was outside attorneys that I must have hired or gotten favors from or something like that, which was totally not true. So what he does, he's mendacious. He leaves adjectives off in his statements, and it doesn't qualify what he's saying very well, and people come to a misunderstanding of what actually happened, and that's what happened here.
Okay, so
and in that case,
back in
I'm
May,
surprised by it.
And
really.
when did Bullard first come on as a city mayor from
It was right after Bob Sly left.
Okay, so but there was an interim guy. There was not for nothing, but there was a white guy there, and I can't remember his name. He was from Albany or something or other. But
that was Justin Miller.
Okay,
Justin. Yeah.
Okay, was that from the same
firm?
Oh, same firm. Oh, from Rochester. Sorry.
Yep.
All right. So Bullard comes in, and he's like, getting involved with everything, and he's making observations. And it was at that point that Attorney Bullard said, "What side are you guys on?"
Yes.
Did you think that was bias on his part at that point?
I absolutely thought it was biased because he had a misunderstanding, and he was biased against me, and so was Justin Miller at the firm. Because when I got into an argument with Justin Miller over one incident that happened, and I had a question, so I called him, and he got on the phone. We were talking back and forth normally about the thing, and all of a sudden he says that deal that you did with the city and buying the golf course up, it was the stupidest. And he went to a few explicatives.
Right.
You got the city and
this
all
is
this
the
trouble
first.
and everything.
This is the first attorney.
And I said, what are you talking about? I said, do you even understand the deal? Who have you been talking to about this? And he says, well, you didn't. And I said, wait a minute. Yeah. You know about the notice of claim because of what Lundy had from a letter of, from the previous manager.
Right.
Do you know about the parking on a blade of grass? Do you know about the deed restriction on the park? Do you know about? And he didn't know anything about it, but he had already come to a conclusion about what the deal was, as so many have in the public, because it didn't have all the information. It was intentionally done by Smith, going out to the public, explaining things in a way that of course, people think there's something hinky with government. And now he points at me and says, Cliff's to blame for your lot in life.
Okay, Attorney Bullard said that he was warned. Who warned him about
Bob
city council?
Sly.
How do you know that?
Because you said so.
Oh,
and
Bob said so?
No, because Bullard said so. What he left off in that statement was what the actual statement was that he warned Bullard about Cliff Olney.
About Cliff Olney.
Okay? And the reason he warned him was because Bob was this close, half an inch from being fired outright. And I got into a conversation. He's been there for 30 years.
Yeah, right.
Let him go out with, okay, we're going to put a resolution up for another attorney.
Right.
And it had gotten to the point where enough was known and understood that was going to happen, and we were going to look for another attorney. And so instead of doing that, I felt, okay, we'll be respectful.
Right.
We'll allow him to ease into retirement, which is what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's doing it.
And so, but the reasons were many. And I can tell you very honestly, if I ask you a question and you lie to me, and you lie, I'm never going to believe you about another thing.
And you saying that Attorney Bob Sly lied to you?
I asked him a specific question, and I said, are we negotiating with the fire department on the manning issue at this time?
Right.
No, we just talk about financials and what they want for the increases, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, that's not true because I talked to a union official that's involved in the negotiations.
Right.
And I said, and they told me you absolutely were talking about manning. I said, so how do you square what it is you're telling me here and what I've heard from them?
Did he get red in the face at that point?
Oh, he wasn't. Oh, my. Well, what do you, here's what.
No,
what
I'm sorry.
What are you talking to the union for?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I said,
and
what are you talking to the union for? Yeah. And so this has been an issue all along. The management in the city doesn't want council to know much. Right. They want you to know what they're telling you.
Right.
And if you go outside the chain of command, so to speak, and I talk to a vendor or I talk to an employee, well, they don't like that.
No,
because they got a narrative they want you to believe.
Right. You shoot
and I
with
said, no, that's not true.
Right.
And they said, well, what are you talking to the union for? And I said, I want to sit on the negotiating team with the fire department so I understand everything that's going on over there in the negotiations. I can come back and report it honestly, all of it.
Right.
And they didn't want that. They said, it's a conflict of your interest.
Yeah.
Why? You think I'm going to come back? I'm not promising the union anything while I sit there. I'm going to simply hear what they have to say, Glenn, and then I'm going to bring it back and we vote on it.
They didn't
what I was doing, I was asking for the information. They were not giving me the information. And that's just one issue. And I knew Bob did that. And as soon as I knew Bob did that and lied to me about it, that's it. I'm done. You're done. I can't trust your legal advice. And Bullard got to the same point because I asked him several questions, and he did not tell me what I believed. I already understood. and that's why I got to where I was.
Councilman
nothing
Cliff,
to do. Let me tell you this: it was nothing to do with because he's doing such a good job in the city. Maybe Jeff and Sarah thought he was. But it was mostly I saw a political move on their part.
Right.
And the whole thing that was stagecrafted last night was to keep him there. And it was sickening to watch all the people come up and the platitudes about him and a good job. And Olney's only going after you because you're against him. And it was not true.
You didn't like seeing that.
Well,
the privilege floor.
You saw what
privilege
was
on the floor. Yeah. Okay.
You heard.
All right. So Bond, what's the next law firm out of Syracuse that Jim Levin always boasts about because they charge a lot of money by the hour?
They're a good firm.
Yeah, they're very expensive. Why are we going to Syracuse? Why can't we get another bobslide right here?
When the RFP,
don't we have enough Renzis around here that could be our city attorney?
Good question. When the request
or
for
some
proposal,
Italian.
Well, look. It's a big Italian family. Here
I know. We got smart people here.
I have relatives who are, and I relate, But when we put the request, when I put in the request for proposal, because it had been delayed for 6 months, it should have been put out immediately after Bob left, and it wasn't.
Right.
Ballard was in, Harris Beach was in as an interim period of time. It should have been a month maybe until we got somebody back. They put out a request for proposal, Glenn, for 6 firms.
Okay.
Only 2 responded.
This is what I have to do. Be already at the bottom of the hour. People are already saying, "Get the shut up!" And I have to cover the bases, and we haven't even covered all the bases. That is the administration as it stands right now. Real quick, you are a representative on a local scale, Cliff Olney, that fits into the us versus them. You are a progressive. Progressives are running Washington. Progressives are running Albany. Progressives are running the media. And we never had a progressive city council since 1869 until you got here. So you fit the missing puzzle, Cliff Olney.
Something. A lot of people that voted for me last time when I ran said I reminded them of Trump.
Yeah, right.
And the reason they said I know you're a damn
a blue
Democrat,
Trump.
But, I mean,
you're blue.
A blue Trump.
You're a progressive.
But you speak what you know, and you tell people the facts. So
put the headsets on.
That's what they said.
Because we're about to be yelled at.
I don't know how because I don't see it, but
All right, here we go. All right, real quick. Sorry. Do you have a question for Councilman?